It's 3 a.m. in the Bronx, New York. I'm on the corner of 187th and Belmont Avenue. This was my neighborhood. This is a Bronx Tale.
Hanging with the crew on the stoop, on the stoop, on Belmont Avenue, on the stoop, on the stoop. Gotta love her on the stoop, on the stoop, Belmont Avenue. And the sultry summer nights, and the corner would rock. The romance, the laughs, the fights, a universe of one little block.
Chance to chat at all if the screaming doesn't stop. I am just as excited as they are, if not more so. I had trouble sleeping last night. If you follow me on Twitter, you will have seen that 25 years ago, I wrote a fan letter to Alan Menken, and he wrote back. I posted a picture of his response on my Twitter account, Broadway Girl NYC. And so this is a very full circle moment for me, and I know that for probably just about everyone in this room, you were the soundtrack to our lives, and you continue to be.
Thank you.
It's really thrilling to have you here. And A Bronx Tale is such a beautiful production. It's a story that's been performed for 30 years. Chaz Palminteri created as a monologue. What was your first exposure to the story? And what was the timeline that got you to where you are with the show today?
Well, my first exposure was seeing the movie. Mm-hmm. And then I actually worked with Chaz. Chaz directed a movie called Noel. And I scored the movie. So while we were working on that, he would continually say, I think Bronx Tale would make a good musical. And I said, yeah, it could, yeah. And I said, I think Bronx Tale would make a good musical. I said, yeah, it could. But I was doing some other things or whatever it was, we didn't. And I also couldn't wrap my head around what would this musical sound like. Wasn't sure. And then, I don't know, fast forward 12 years, and Tommy Mottola gives me a call and says, hey, would you like to write the songs for a Bronx Tale musical? I said, well, I don't know what it would sound like. He said, I think it's the music of the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. All those sounds that you would hear, the doo-wop a cappella, the Dion and the Belmonts, and Motown, and Chuck Berry, and Sinatra, and Johnny Vale, and all. I said, oh, I get it. Mm-hmm. I get it. And once I had that where I understood what the score would sound like and how it would function, it was a piece of cake, and it was great to do.
So how long ago was that you committed to doing it?
I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years.
So it's a long process getting a show.
Getting
a show to Broadway. Did you actually go to the Bronx and listen to the neighborhood, or has it changed enough since then?
Well, actually, I went to school in the Bronx. I went to NYU's University College of Arts and Science, which was in fact up in the Bronx back in those days, where now it's a Bronx Community College. But no, I didn't actually do a field trip to the Bronx. But we did a lot of listening to different artists and different songs, and talking to Chaz about what songs did you really feel a connection to, and also Tommy, same thing with Tommy Mottola, and Bob De Niro, who was on board as director originally, and now, of course, along with Jerry Zaks, directed it. You want to get everybody's, touchstones about what each of those moments might be like in that context.
Yeah. Well, you do such a beautiful job, especially of differentiating these two different neighborhoods within the greater Bronx neighborhood, Belmont Avenue and Webster. How did you approach those two differently in terms of the scoring, the musical references to each neighborhood?
Well, one is the white Italian, and one is black. And so there was certainly Motown, and there were lots of intersections, Motown and R&B, but a lot of the R&B and even Motown influences found their way also into the Italian side. So it wasn't an explicit gap. However, Act 1 starts with the song Belmont Avenue. Act 2 starts with the song Webster Avenue. It's basically the same music, but rearranged for each of the neighborhoods.
Yeah, and they do have like a little genre shift.
Oh, yeah.
But still remaining the same song, and I love how that sort of, it's evocative of how similar these kids' lives are, and yet how separate they are as well.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about that first song in Act 2 is how rhythm is incorporated into it. Did you work with a choreographer to make sure that the rhythm you envisioned of their dance steps fit into the music?
You know, on Broadway, we have dance arrangers, and they'll be in the room with the choreographer. So it was Ron Melrose, who was our wonderful musical director and also did the dance arrangements, working with Sergio Trujillo. So the song opens up into that dance break. So we basically wrote the song knowing that it would open up at a certain point into the dance break, but I can't take credit for that exact arrangement.
It just contributes so much, and it's so musical. So much of the language in the show is musical, and I know you worked with an incredible lyricist, Glenn Slater.
Yeah.
How do you two work together? Are you in the same room? Does he send you the words written out, or do you send him the tunes?
I like to have my collaborator in the room with me. And so, the first thing we do is try to figure out, okay, what is the song moment? Who's going to sing this song? Where does it start? Where does it end? How does it push story forward? Where in the context of the whole score is this moment? What do we need in this moment to help the arc of the entire story? We ask ourselves a ton of questions. Maybe, what other song would this sound like? And listen to that and let that influence us. And then, only then will I sit at the piano and start playing with ideas. And then I love when my lyricist will say, yeah, but I feel like you've done that before. But I say, okay, how about this? Yeah, I like that. Wait, I need more syllables. No, I need less syllables. Or So it's a constant, very dynamic, push and pull in the room until we come up with exactly the piece of music that is going to reflect what Glenn's going to write, and then Glenn goes off and writes the lyric. You
had this show playing at the Paper Mill Playhouse before it came to Broadway. Did you guys make any adjustments to the music, the lyrics? Did you, seeing it on stage, did that give you new ideas? How much did it change from?
Well, any audience, every audience has a deep impact on what we do with every show, and yeah, we made changes coming to Broadway. I'm now trying to remember. What changes did we make? Because Webster Avenue. The song Webster Avenue wasn't, I don't think it was at Paper Mill. We had various changes we put in, and that's natural. Every show has, coming to Broadway, it's almost like a high wire act. The show does sometimes has somersaults, but has to land on its feet somehow.
You actually have some actors who are doing some somersaults and some of those dance numbers too.
It's true.
Yeah, and in addition to the show being on Broadway, of course, the reason Alan's here today is because the album is out now. It's online and in stores.
Please.
It's really fantastic, and also there's some great pictures from the show, so you can sort of feel like you're watching along.
Really proud of that album. It came out beautifully.
The sound quality is so great. It's one of those albums where you put the headphones on, close your eyes, and it just transports you into the world of the show. Almost like being there, and having those little pictures.
Well, it's a stage, and it's also really trying to capture, in the case of all the songs, the real authentic influences that contributed to the writing of the songs. So the guitar sounds and the drum sounds, and down to even the echo. Tommy Mottola was a big influence on that. He's a stickler for that, and of course, again, Ron Melrose and me and Glenn and all of us together. Want to find all of those little authentic moments musically that will let you know where the song comes from. And then also big choices, where do we leave in dialogue and where do we just let the song stand on its own? Because there are certain songs where you really want the dialogue, so it helps push the story forward.
It does feel like you don't lose anything. You can take yourself through the entire story of the show. There's one song that I wondered about the creative process. I think it's Hurt Someone. A lot of the lyrics are like slurs that the two rival neighborhoods throw back and forth. Did you guys struggle with writing that? It's sort of, it's a little bit of a weird feeling to leave the theater, snapping your finger, tapping your toe, and like hearing those words in your head.
Well, the words you hear on stage, we cleaned them up.
I bet.
We had a lot of. Can we say those words here? No. Why
I'd prefer not to say them, but if you'd like to.
We had a lot of nasty language that wherever we felt we could adjust it and not lose the toughness or the essence of the show, we did that. So, but there's still plenty of edgy stuff in there too.
It captures the moment, and I think it's powerful. And I kind of like to be made a little uncomfortable with my theatrical experiences.
Good.
It's certainly not. It's not The Little Mermaid. It's not the same audience.
No.
That said, of course, Little Mermaid is everything, as is everything you've ever created. That was the one that started me off. I was right at the right age, right at the right moment, and it's been my favorite movie since the day it came out, I think.
But yet, Little Mermaid, for me, was basically Howard Ashman and my follow-up to Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have been thinking this week as I dug into your career that Audrey and Ariel are not all that different.
No, they're not. In fact, we used to call part of your world Somewhere That's Wet. It's similar. You still have a protagonist. You have an antagonist. You have all kinds of, musical winks.
Wouldn't it be Somewhere That's Dry?
Well, no.
She wants to live on land.
But she's under the water. Okay, fine. I think Somewhere That's Wet is funnier.
It is. But
okay.
I'm a stickler for details.
Kill a laugh.
Little Mermaid is going to have a new life, so we hear.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, first of all, I just announced today that we're going to be doing a live Little Mermaid at the Wonderful World of Disney on ABC in September.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's it. We had done a live Little Mermaid at the Hollywood Bowl, which was fantastic when we were there. Sarah Bareilles played Ariel, and Darren Criss was Prince Eric, and Titus Burgess was Sebastian, and Rebel Wilson was Ursula, and it was great. I don't know who the cast will be for this, but there's going to be a live Little Mermaid. But then, yes, following that, we're doing a live-action film of Little Mermaid.
And you're going to be working with Lin-Manuel Miranda on that,
Lin-Manuel
right?
Miranda will be writing some new songs with me on this, and he's also a producer on it.
Have you started working together yet?
Not yet. He's been doing Mary Poppins in London, and I've been actually working on the movie of Aladdin now.
A live-action
Yeah,
Aladdin?
live-action Aladdin. Guy Ritchie is directing, and it's been an amazing experience working on that.
Are you working on anything right now that isn't an adaptation of something
Wouldn't
you've done
it be
before?
Nice? I have this mixed blessing. I mean, it's all of my old work is being redone, and it's a wonderful thing. It's from animation to the stage, or from the stage to movies, or from the stage to back to live action, or whatever it is. No, there are things I'd love to do on stage and new projects. I do have a new a musical in the works, a new original. We're also talking about a sequel to Enchanted.
Ooh.
These are things that have been announced, so it's safe for me to talk about. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble.
Well, wait, what's the new original musical you're working on?
Okay, it was... So it's... how do I put this? I'm not supposed to... There's legal issues!
It's just you and me here.
Yeah, that's it.
I won't tell anyone.
Nobody else is watching. Let's put it this way. It's the son of the most famous nanny of all time.
Mary Poppins?
Named Larry. Is kind of a screw-up nanny, played by Josh Gad. And we've been working on a musical of that. That's at Universal.
Okay.
at the moment. It's still awaiting the green light.
Okay. Well, let me know if I need to. I can write a letter.
All right. Oh, yeah. You write a great letter.
I have a long history of that.
And then there's going to be another Little Shop of Horrors movie at Warner Brothers. So at the moment, I'm kind of like just keeping myself, sort of in among the previous projects.
I heard you say once that you prefer creating new material, but if your stuff's getting adapted, you're not letting anybody else get their hands on it.
They're my babies. Listen, I let my babies go and they can walk on their own. But if we're going to be making more of them, I don't know where this conversation is.
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you. Speaking of your babies, you have a daughter who's a musician, and she's really fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought this would be a good opportunity to
Anna
give a
Rose.
plug to her.
Anna Rose is touring on the West Coast right now. She's been touring right now with James McCartney, and she plays a lot in New York. She lives in the East Village. She's great, and she has 3 albums out. And check her out, Anna Rose.
You think there's going to be a spot for her in one of your live action
That would be great.
projects?
That would be great. And my other daughter, Nora, who's now working in a magazine, actually was in the stage version of Hunchback when we did it at Paper Mill.
Well, that's so cool. I love keeping it in the family. And I've also heard.
So proud of both my daughters.
I also heard that when Beauty and the Beast launched in Russia, was it that you got to go and sort of visit the where your ancestors came from and have this whole experience there? Is that correct?
Well, yes, Menkowitz is what the family was, and we were sort of in that mix between Poland and Russia, so it was either Menkovich or Menkowitz, or the name would change, but then we came here, and we're Menken. Russia was kind of fascinating. And that was, when I was there for Little Mermaid and for Beauty, I believe, yes. It was a slightly less tense time to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But I still retain wonderful relationships with the people who produced the shows there, and it's a beautiful city. Moscow's amazing. But, right now we're in a kind of a weird time.
Sure. I was thinking about it in terms of, you have given all of us these incredible gifts, and I love the idea that these works that you have created and put out into the world have brought gifts back to you. What do you feel the most gratitude around in terms of what your work has brought back into your life?
Honestly, it's kind of you guys.
Aw.
It's the effect it has on the people who constantly come up to me and say, "You wrote the soundtrack for my show."
Yeah, I know.
Somebody's imprinted that soundtrack, but that gives me an amazing blessing in my life to have, kind of this relationship with the whole generation. I've loved that.
Multiple generations.
Multiple generations.
And I think we should adjust it to say that you have written both the soundtrack and the original cast recording to our lives. Yes. Because we know the difference.
Thank you.
And this is as you might say, one of the great ones.
It's one of the songs from the show is this song that Nick Cordero sings as Sonny, where he sings about you get 3 loves in your life, 3 great loves. They come along like the great fighters. That's those are Chaz's lines, but he sings this song called "This One Could Be One of the Great Ones."
The love songs in this show are some of my favorites. You've got the fighting song, you've got the the sort of the neighborhood doo-wop, guys hanging out on the street songs. There's a lot of comic relief, but those love songs, particularly one of the great ones, which is sort of it's like a memory love song.
Yeah.
And also a teaching moment. And then the love song between Bobby Conte Thornton and Ariana
In a World
DeBose.
Like This.
Yeah. Where they are falling for each other from afar, and then
the first one is Out of Your Head, and then it's
Out of Your Head.
Like This.
I mean, all of them, but the love story that runs through this show, I feel like the music elevates it in a way that just grabs me by the heart and won't let go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's my job.
Well, you're doing it well. Don't stop. Do you have a favorite track on this album, or is that are you going to say it's like asking to pick between your
Yes,
kids?
exactly. But it's like that because I think of all my scores as it's like a mosaic, and you're going to say, what's your favorite tile? It's all part of one picture. What's your favorite pixel or something? They all make...
Mine is that.
that one right there. But no, it's because it's all a whole. It's a greater thing. I think that's one of the keys to my popularity of my songs is it's not about the song. The song is a part of something bigger. And I think that really contributes to how people can invest in the songs.
So let's say no more. Let's say you couldn't work on anything you've ever worked on again, like before, and you have to pick a property that exists out in the world to adapt into a musical, something you've never touched to this point. Is there a dream project that you just feel like you can feel the music in your bones already? Even though it doesn't exist?
Yes, and some of them I've started and didn't succeed at necessarily. For years, I worked on a musical that's based on a Damon Runyon story, and I love that world, that old New York from the 30s and 40s.
There's a little bit of that in this show. There's
There's
like a little homage to Guys and Dolls. There's the dice rolling. There's some West Side Story in there, a little Jersey Boy.
A little bit. So there was a story that Howard and I were looking at doing before he passed away, and then I actually took it on and was working on that for a while. There are things I want to fix. Like, I'd love to go back and fix King David. King David was the oratorio I wrote with Tim Rice that actually opened the New Amsterdam Theater. And it's got, I think, really beautiful songs in it. And it's just an extremely rich meal. It's like so much. I want to just sort of re-prepare it to a degree. I'd love to find a way to bring Gallivant to the stage.
Oh, yeah. Is that in the works at all?
Well, first of all, there's a Gallivant double CD coming out with all of the songs, all 60 of the songs plus 2 outtake songs. And it's the lyrics and...
Oh, I can't wait.
That's coming out soon. I would love to find a way to bring that to the stage in a way, whether it's a review, whether it tells the story, but there's something really special about Gallivant.
That's absolutely sure. Of course, you just referenced 2 things that you worked on before, and my question about the things that you haven't worked on before. But I'll let it slide.
Let it slide.
What I am also really interested in is I have seen you perform these medleys of all of your hits, and I know last year you did a one-man show in LA.
Yeah.
Is that going to have another life?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Can you please bring it to New York?
Yes, I'd like to. I put together this. It was actually exhausting. It was 2 acts. I was talking and playing for about 2.5 hours. And we did it at the Segerstrom Arts Center, which is in Los Angeles, in Orange County. And we had these 3 screens, and it's basically going through my career and my life, and it was a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing a version of that at the D23 this summer in Anaheim. I'm planning, I know a bunch of other venues where I'm going to do that, including touring Japan with next year. It's fun. It's the kind of thing where I have to devote X amount of time to getting that show sort of under my belt again and having it be second nature to me, and then also devote time to actually going and physically doing it. And it's hard to do that when you're working on 6 films at the same time. So
It's a hard life.
it is hard.
I know it is, and I don't mean to diminish that.
Gratifying.
It is not lost on any of us how hard you work, and I did not mean to make light of that for a second.
You're right. It's a blessing. It's such a blessing, the problems I have, I wish them on any of you. They're great problems to have.
We'll always want more, but we also will always respect how much of a gift you've already given us.
Thank you.
We have time for a couple of questions from the audience.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Menken. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your work.
My pleasure.
So, as far as these live-action adaptations, both Mermaid and Aladdin, what are the possibilities that excite you the most, and what do you think are going to be the greatest challenges?
I'll start with the second half first. The greatest challenge is always, what more do I have to add to this? That challenge is answered by who's directing it and who else is working on it, because I need them to be my collaborators to help me find new things. So what I'm looking forward to most in these projects is the new collaborations. With Aladdin, the collaboration with Guy Ritchie. And I have new lyricists I'm writing songs with on Aladdin. And they have not been announced by Disney. They're very well known, but since I'm not going to beat Disney to the punch on that one. However, it was announced that Lin-Manuel Miranda is going to be working on Mermaid, and I'm excited. He and I actually started working on something years ago together, and then it didn't pan out. But
can you please release those demos for whatever they are?
He never got as far as we don't need to get into it. Anyway, but actually, I knew of Lynn ever since he was a little kid, because he went to the Hunter school system with my niece, Jenny. And my sister would say, this is boy, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's a huge Mermaid fan. He'd like you to sign the poster, please. And oh my gosh. I know. And same thing actually with Bobby Lopez, who also went to the Hunter school system, and I'd heard about. So it's an amazing generation of young talent. So yeah, what I look forward to most is the new people I'll be working with and seeing what new they can bring to the project. And I don't want to be the curmudgeon who says, you can't change this or you can't alter that. Because number one, people will want me in the room. And number two, it's exciting to come back to something and see what else is there. Yeah.
Great.
Hi, how are we doing? Hi, over here.
Hi.
Sorry about that. Hi, Ellen. It's beyond a huge honor to have you here today. And my question for you are, what artists have truly influenced you to be who you are today?
What artists? You mean writers or?
Musically.
Oh, well. We'll go all the way back. When I was a little kid, I remember loving classical music. And I go, why did I love classical music so much? And I think it was because of Fantasia, where you had, the Beethoven Sixth Symphony and the dancing elephants or whatever. I remember.
Hippos.
The hippos.
Yeah.
Good for you. Oh. and the Sorcerer's Apprentice and Night on Bald Mountain. So the marriage of visual images and the music is just amazing. And I never listened to classical music the same way after that. I always would, in fact, put a story over it and feel an imaginary story was going on. I grew up in a family that loved musical theater, so I grew up, the songs of Rodgers and Hammerstein or Bach and Harnick. I grew up with all of that and loved that. Obviously, I'm a child of the 60s, so Beatles and Rolling Stones and Bob Dylan and Jackson.
Let's not forget that you also wrote a psychedelic rock ballet.
Oh.
I mean,
Okay, so
your roots run deep.
Yes. I started college in 1967. Need I say more? I was a child of the 60s, and we indulged, and we had fun. Yeah, I loved the psychedelic era. It was amazing. Music.
You think you ever might write something in that vein again?
I tried, actually. Recently, I had a project in development at DreamWorks based on a Sid and Marty Krofft TV show from the 60s called Lidz Ville. And the whole thing was we were doing psychedelic homages. And they didn't move forward with it, and that kind of broke my heart a little bit. But maybe the studio got scared about the idea of psychedelia and animation. Maybe that combination was like...
Just show them Fantasia.
Well, shh.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, kids. It's
don't know
a
that.
G-rated movie.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that era. And film scores of John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith. And, oh God, I don't know what influences them. The great singer-songwriters like Billy Joel and Joni Mitchell and... I don't know.
It sounds like a wide spectrum.
I love music, and I love different styles of music, and I love opening up, finding a new language with which to tell a story, and then delving into that language and seeing what it can bring to a project.
We have time for one more question.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
My name's Michael. I'm from Jersey. I gotta say this, but you personally made the soundtrack to my sister's life, and she's a huge fan of you. Her name is Michelle, and this is to her. And what would you say are your favorite modern day stuff? Like, what musicals that have come out recently have you seen that are your favorites?
I loved Dear Evan Hansen. I thought it was really well done, really good. I mean, listen, there's so much talent out there, by the way, because every time I say I like this, and if I don't mention another one, I feel a bit terrible. But Hamilton was an amazing accomplishment, and as was In the Heights for Lin-Manuel Miranda. I thought Book of Mormon was absolutely fantastic. So we're talking about the younger writers, right? Because Stephen Schwartz did a pretty great job on Wicked, you know. Yeah.
What was the last show you saw on Broadway? Not counting your own.
I just, well, I'm a Tony voter, so I've been seeing this year's.
Oh, you've seen them all.
I've been seeing all the musicals, yeah.
Yeah, cool. How often are you going? I'm always curious about that. Like, how many shows does a Tony voter, like, especially in April, you must have seen,
I try to
like,
do
a million.
about one a week if, you know, it's too many musicals, it's like too much.
It was a big year.
I don't love, believe it or not, I don't love going to musicals necessarily.
Really?
I love writing them. I mean, maybe because when I sit in the theater, it's work.
Yeah.
You're going, okay, what do we need to fix on this? And wait, they're not reacting enough to that. Or if it's someone else's show, I go, oh, this isn't good. Or even worse is, oh, this is really good. So no, yeah, but I go to theater, you know, fair amount, and then I love, you know, also seeing movies and TV and blah blah blah.
Yeah, cool. Well,
And all that.
and all of that. Well, it's, as we keep saying, it's a broken record. We love you. You've given
Love you
so
back.
much to all of us. I think that certainly I and probably a lot of people here would not have followed the life paths they did if it wasn't for your art. And I'm so delighted that you continue to make it, that we can go see it live, we can listen to the albums, we can get to see the new versions, and maybe even get some brand new stuff from you one of these days.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Alan Menken, for being here.
Thank you, guys.